Oh, this is going to be wonderful. Astor tells her, believe me, this is going to be a trip you never forget. And here's what we're going to do. On January 24th, a brand new ship, well, it's only like a year old or so, is coming to New York. It's the biggest ship ever of the White Star Line, and we're going to have a room on it, first class. She says, oh, that sounds exciting. Astor says, all right, you tell Rosie to get your suitcases packed because we're leaving. So, on January 24th, John Jacob Astor, with Madeline and Victor and Rosie and Carolyn, go down to the docks of New York, get on this White Star Line ship, and takes them across the Atlantic Ocean to Cherbourg, France. There, Astor has a train arranged to pick them up that takes them down to the Mediterranean, where he has another boat arranged that will take them over to the Nile Valley. And there, he has rented a kind of a Cleopatra-type barge, a boat called a Dahabe, or Dahabu, or Dahabe, and that has people who row up in the front, kind of like slaves, and it has sails. And on this, they're going to travel the Nile River and see the sights. They're going to visit these sun-baked brick villages and these mosques, and they're going to see the ancient Egyptian ruins. And of course, they're going to see the Sphinx, and they'll see camels, and they'll see the pyramids. Oh, those pyramids. And when Astor sees those pyramids, he gets excited. Just like they always say, you know what they say about rich people when they see pyramids, how they don't just see a pyramid. What they see is a pile of money. And oh, that gets them excited. And Astor starts getting excited. And oh, does he get excited. And the next thing we know, Madeline is pregnant. Oh my goodness, she can't have a baby in Egypt. What are they going to do? So now that she's pregnant, they have to get out of there. They have to get back to civilization. And so Astor and Madeline, along with Victor and Rosie and Carolyn, leave Egypt and travel back up here to Naples, and then up to Rome, and then into Paris finally. And so here they are. And Madeline says, now look I don't want to have a child here in Europe. I want our child born back in America. And Astor says, that's a good idea. I'll get arrangements here. I'll check the schedule and see when the next boat is coming. And so he gets out a paper and he starts looking at the paper saying, let's see. Oh, he says, we are in luck. In a couple more days, there's a ship leaving, and it goes right to New York. And she says, that's just wonderful. We'll be on it. Astor says, yes, we'll be on it. And then he's reading the paper, and he goes, well, look at this. Now, this is an interesting story. You're not going to believe this, Madeline. And she says, tell me, what happened? He says, you know that ship that we took across from New York? And she says, yes, that was called the Olympic. He says, yes, the Olympic. It was a great ship, you know. And he says, after it came across and dropped us off at Cherbourg, guess what happened? She says, I don't know. He says, it says here, the propeller fell off. She says, the propeller fell off? Yes, the propeller fell off. Oh, or well, maybe one of the blades fell off. I don't know. It says here that the ship was shaking so much that the olives were flying out of the martini glasses. And so it was a disaster. She says, what happened? Astor says, well, what they did is they took it back to the shipyard, the Harland and Wolff shipyard, where they had built it up in Belfast to get it repaired. And she says, really? And he says, yeah, that's what it says. So after the propeller fell off, they went back up here to Belfast and took it into the shipyard. And fortunately, the little sister ship, you see, there was this little sister ship alongside the Olympic that they were building, the second one of that series. It was still in a dry dock, so they moved a little sister ship out of the dry dock, and they moved the Olympic in. And now I'm a little confused here. I don't know if they took a propeller off of the sister ship or if they just had an extra propeller, but they got a propeller on the Olympic, and she's out sailing. But that whole propeller thing delayed the sister ship. It was supposed to already be gone, but it's still there, and it's going to be leaving in a couple days from Southampton. She says, oh, perfect. Well, I'm sure happy that that propeller fell off, or otherwise we wouldn't have this trip back. Astor says, oh boy, are we lucky. And he says, here, yeah, it's going to leave on the 10th of April. She says, oh, that's wonderful. What do they call the little sister ship? I saw the name here. It's a little, oh, he says it's a silly name. I don't know why they called it this. Nobody will remember this. She says, what do they call it? He says, they call it the Titanic. The Titanic, she says. What a silly name. Why don't they give it a great name? He says, I don't know. Nobody will be able to remember that name. And so, there's the story. On April 10th at noon, the Titanic leaves Southampton, crosses the English Channel to Cherbourg, France. There it arrives at 7:30 in the evening, and it picks up John Jacob Astor, Madeline, Victor, Rosie, and Carolyn, along with 274 other passengers. It leaves there at 9 o'clock in the evening, and it sails around here and up to the southern tip of Ireland, and there it picks up yet more passengers. And on the 11th of April, the Titanic begins its journey over to New York, a journey that should take 5 days and 16 hours to make the whole cruise. Well, I don't have to get into what happens next. Everybody knows what's floating around out there in the ocean, and everybody knows what the Titanic runs into. And when it happens, Astor's first impression is, oh, this isn't too bad. We're going to be okay. But then the boat starts sinking into the water, and he realizes this is serious. So he moves his wife and Rosie and Carolyn up to the A deck, to the lifeboat number 4. And there they are, and there's the deckhands telling him, okay, women and children only. And so John Jacob Astor moves his wife up there, and he gets her in the lifeboat, and Rosie and Carolyn are in there with her. And then he does the only thing that a gentleman such as him would do, and that is he tells the deckhands, I'd better go with my wife. She's in a delicate condition. So look out now. I'm going to step in there. And they say, no, sir. This is women and children only. And Astor says, but my wife's condition is such that I should go with her. And besides that, my name is John Jacob Astor, and I always do whatever I want to do. And they say, no, sir. Gentlemen's boats are over there. This is women and children only. Oh, so Astor backs off, lights a cigarette. He's watching the boat be loaded, and finally they start lowering it down into the water, and there goes his wife with the baby and Carolyn and Rosie. And at the last minute, Astor slips off his gloves and tosses them down to his wife. And he steps back and he smokes a cigarette, watching them disappear down to the water. 3 days later, the Carpathia, the ship, the liner that picks up the people off the lifeboats of the Titanic, arrives in New York. It's now April 18th. 2 of the officers help young Mrs. Astor off of the ship, and she's just almost swooning and almost faint. And there's her sister Catherine there, who runs up to her, and she asks her sister, is there any news? And she says, no news. And she almost swoons, and they practically have to carry her up to a car to get her uptown to her parents' house. She'll wait there for some news about her husband. 7 days later, the cable ship McKay Bennett is out cruising around the site of the sinking, looking for anything to pick up that might be floating, and whether that is deceased passengers or crewmen or any other debris. And there they see something, and they come up alongside it and scoop it up out of the water, and they keep track of everything, and they call this item number 124. And they see that it's a body, and the body is of a man. And so they bring it on board, and they look at it. They start an information card, number 124. They said, this is a male, looks to be about 50 years of age. He's been in the water 7 days, so it's hard to tell, but looks about 50, brown hair. And then they start looking, are there any identifying marks that would help them identify who this might be? And they notice there's a ring on a finger with 3 stones, so they write that down, ring, 3 stones. And then they notice these cufflinks, gold with diamonds. Whoa, they said, this guy must be a first-class passenger. Gold cufflinks with diamonds. And they start saying, is there anything else? And they reach into a little pocket. Here is a beautiful gold pocket watch. Whoa, look at this watch. All the deckhands are looking. That's a nice watch, gold pocket watch. Let's see if there's anything in his pockets. They reach in there and they go, holy Toledo, and they pull out a bundle of money, 225 English pounds. Oh, the deckhands, look at that. That's more money than I make in 10 years. Look at that. Oh, look at that bundle of money. They reach into another pocket. Holy mackerel, 2,440 American dollars. Look at the money this guy's carrying around. They reach into another pocket. Gold coins. Gold, look at that. They reach into another pocket. Silver coins, look at that. Look at that. Reach in there. Here's some francs. 10 franc, 10 franc. Holy mackerel, this guy is like a walking First National Bank. I wonder who this could be carrying all that money. And then they say, let's look for more identifying marks here. So they open up his coat, and here embossed inside of his coat are the letters JJA. They go JJA, JJA. I wonder who that could be. Let's look back here on the collar, and then here on the back of the collar of the shirt, JJA. Oh, look at JJA. Check out that belt. Gold buckle. Look at that. JJA on the belt. JJA. Let's look at this pocket here. Whoa, look at that. Pocket JJA. Whoa, look at that. Let's check out those monogram socks. Look at the monogram socks. It's JJA on the socks. How about those little elastic things around his leg that hold his socks up? Holy mackerel, JJA with gold buckles. Everything on this guy is custom made and monogrammed. Who could this be? Okay, let's look at it. He's gold watch, gold cufflinks, carrying a small fortune in his pockets, everything embossed with the initials JJA. Who could this be? Let's see. What would that, if there's any other clues, and then somebody realizes, wait a minute. You don't imagine, do you think this could be? Is it? Could this possibly be John Jacob Astor? How could it? Well, they were right. It was John Jacob Astor. And he was right. This was a trip that his young wife never forgot.